Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's Armchair Quarterbacks, Mile High Edition. I am Michael Worth.
I am Nick Duran. Make sure you like and subscribe down at the bottom.
Down in
Keep it
there.
straight down in there somewhere. A lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to start with the Denver Nuggets, specifically, Nick Wright and
Yeah.
his really ass backwards opinion of the Denver Nuggets and Colorado sports in general. Mike, what are
Yeah.
your thoughts, takes on that?
He's definitely talking about Colorado sports, but he's doing exactly why he's saying exactly why we're doing what we're doing. He's I think he made comments somewhere along the line that nobody talks about Colorado sports or the Denver Nuggets because it doesn't get ratings.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's saying. He's saying basically we're a flyover state. We're not on the coast. We don't deserve any airtime, positive or negative, because at the end of the day, we don't bring anything to the table when it comes to anything worth talking about from a sports standpoint. And the
Right.
craziest thing is that from the Nugget standpoint, we're good. Avalanche were absolutely phenomenal. So we have teams that should be talked about. We're asking people not to talk about the Rockies because they're
Yeah. Nobody
absolutely
wants to know about
terrible.
the Rockies.
No one cares about them. And then with the Denver Broncos, we haven't actually proven anything where we should be talked about until we get an Aaron Rodgers or until we make a change of quarterback and we win 10, 11, 12 games. Then we can be in the discussion. But
Right.
we haven't really put up anything for the last 5 years. However, the Nuggets and the Avalanche are not in that category. They are
No.
phenomenal teams, and they
Nuggets
should.
were Western Conference Finals last year. They have an MVP candidate this year, not according to Nick Wright. And everybody else in the media is like there are. I don't know if they're trying to create storylines, but it's like last week we talked about how they're trying to hand it to Steph Curry, and then this week they're trying to hand it to Chris Paul, and it goes on, and they and Nick Wright especially trying to convince everybody that Chris Paul is the most valuable player in the NBA is just crazy.
And here's the thing. I like Chris Paul. I
Yeah.
think he's a great player. He's absolutely going to be in the Hall of Fame and deserves all the recognition that he's getting. However, I also think if Nikola Jokic plays the way that he's been playing throughout his career, he's also going to be in the Hall of Fame. At
Oh,
the like,
absolutely.
and
So
that's the craziest thing. Like you have two Hall of Fame players in just different periods and times in their career, and to say one is better than the other, I think is irrelevant. And then the interesting part is that I'll give these analysts credit sometimes here and there, but at the end of the day, like if you're on TV and you're delivering messages to an audience, your English better be perfect. Like when we're on a podcast, it's a little different. We don't get paid to do this. We do this for fun. But
right.
this guy saying the MVP having to be awarded in some hallway somewhere because he's not playing in a round two ain't great. You get paid to speak, and you speak like a moron. Like that's like you're an
Yeah.
idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And so he had made a comment on one of his things, and Chris Broussard was, who is not my favorite analyst on TV. He was blown away with the comments when he started saying that Chris Paul. But Nick Wright made a comment that said he posted the last 50 MVPs, and he goes, "Which player is Jokic better than?" And Chris Broussard didn't have an answer for him because he's comparing him to LeBron James, Julius Erving, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan. Of course, somebody in their fifth year is not going to have the career achievements of.
Correct.
So, but this is not the Lifetime Achievement Award. It is the Best Season Award, the Most Valuable Player of the Season. And so, but it got me thinking, like, he's in his like fifth or sixth, he's in his sixth year now. So I went to his stats to look up and see how he's progressed. His rookie year, he played in 80 games and he started at 55. He averaged 10.7 rebounds and 2.5 assists. The rookie of the year that year, and that was in like 20 minutes. Rookie of the year that year was Andrew Wiggins, who averaged like 16 points and 4 rebounds. But the runner-up, Nikola Jokic, could have been the runner-up of Rookie of the Year that year, but nobody even talked about him. The runner-up was Nikolai Mirotic, and he had 10 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist in 25 minutes. So
Right.
he has produced and made the Nuggets better every year. He's not a 1 year, one hit wonder. It's just
He's not a one-hit wonder.
Yeah. Ever since he's gotten this, so the record for the Nuggets was 33 wins his rookie year, and then 40 wins, then 46 wins, then 54 wins, and then 46 in a shortened season last year, and
Right.
44 in a shortened season so far this year. So they've gotten better every single year with him as the focal point of their offense.
Without a doubt, and not a lot of support help. He's honestly had to put the team on his back, and we'll give Jamal Murray credit for the 2 playoff games last year where he going head to head against Utah and then against the Clippers. But at the end of the day, the only reason that we were there was because Nikolai played so well and so consistently. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that he's the most consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. He's
So, like, in my opinion, he's the most consistent basketball player in the NBA. Absolutely. You know what you're going to get with him day in and day out. You're going to get your 25, 26, 27 points. You're going to get your 10, 11 rebounds. You're going to get your 8 to 10 assists, and he's going to give you a steal a game. And to lead your team in every statistical category for 3 straight seasons and 45 plus wins every single season, take your team to the second round of the Western Conference Finals, and then hopefully, deep into a playoff run this year. So, with Nikolai, he statistically has led everyone for the last 3 years from a Nugget stat line standpoint. 26 points, 10 boards, 8 rebounds consistently, 45 plus wins, second round playoff run, Western Conference playoff run, and then hopefully this year another deep playoff run. He just doesn't get the credit that he deserves, and I think because he's not a flashy player.
Absolutely.
He just does it so cool, calm, and collected. He's not loud. He's not he complains a lot on the court, hands down, no questions.
More than I would actually, care for.
Agreed. I think that he should tone that down. But at the end of the day, he's not a flashy player. He's not a LeBron James. He's not a Kevin Durant. He's not a Kyrie Irving who says, almost like a look at me, look at me. He wants the refs to look at him when he has the ball. But outside of that, it's like he doesn't care if the people watching are watching him play, because he knows what he's going to do. And I think that's his downside. That's why people like Nick Wright have their stupid opinion and spout off the mouth non-English words, and they, it's really unfortunate.
So we didn't have that great of a week. We talked about their top 5 game stretch this last episode, and they had the Clippers, Lakers, Knicks, Jazz, and Nets. And we are banged up, man. We have Mike Morris, PJ Dozier, Will Barton, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon missed the last game. We're down to pretty slim, and Porter and Jokic had looked real tired in the last game to me in the fourth quarter. So I'm a little concerned about that. But what I kind of want to talk about is, do you think we have an Oklahoma City, the Thunder story in the future with the Nuggets? Do you think, because Michael Porter Jr. is just playing insane. He's incredibly talented. Jamal Murray's incredibly talented. And Nikolai, do you think in 5 or 6 years, all 3 of these guys are MVP candidates on different teams, kind of like Oklahoma City? Or do you think we can make it work?
Well, right now, I think there's. Well, who would Nikolai be on the Oklahoma City Thunder? Are you talking about KD?
KD, Harden, and
Harden and Westbrook. Okay.
Yeah, 3 MVP. They all were 3 MVP candidates. All played together as young players, and then as they developed and went and had success elsewhere. Do you think that's a possibility, or do you think the Nuggets could figure out? Because Michael Porter is blossoming into almost a better player than what Jamal Murray is right now, or at least higher ceiling. Is he going to want to go elsewhere?
Well, if we win, no.
Yeah.
Even here's the thing. Oklahoma City was phenomenal. They were good. They never won a championship.
But they got to the finals.
But they never won a championship.
Right.
If they would have won 1 or 2 championships, I think that those players would have stayed. KD left to go win a championship in Golden State, and that's exactly what he did.
And to be fair, the Thunder traded Harden away. So it's not like those guys chose to break up. But I was just thinking about that the other day because last year in the bubble, I told my brother, I said, Michael Porter Jr. is going to be the second best player on the Nuggets in 2 years. And so this is the first year. Next year would have been the 2 years. And now it's looking like Michael Porter Jr. could be the best player on the Nuggets 2 years from now.
Correct.
So I'm hoping they can work it all out and get it all together. But that was just a thought I had. So
I think you're not off. If any of the players were to, break up or to not be on the Nuggets, you froze again. So if any of the Nuggets were to break up or the big three or our three were to separate, it's going to be Jamal Murray, based off of Michael Porter Jr.'s potential and based off of what Nikolai has done from an output standpoint thus far in his career. You can't not lose those two players based off of what they're or at least what they're doing now and what we watch on the court every night today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So of the three, Jamal Murray's out. Michael Porter Jr. is playing out of his mind right now. Nikola Jokic is based off of the production that he's done thus far in his career. It's hard to separate with those two, especially with Porter Jr.'s upside. And so there are guards for days in college, guards for days in the NBA who can take over games. Donovan Mitchell, who was a no one back in the day. You have Bradley Beal, who was a no one. So, I mean, Steph Curry's been always been Steph Curry, but at the end of the day, I think the guard is an easier position to find success in because there's just so many of them. And so
there's not a lot of 6'11" big white point guards or 6'10" shooters who can shoot 50% from 3-pointers.
Yeah, I mean they're all over, and every team should have at least two. And I don't know why they don't. And so that's where if they are going to break up, Jamal's going to be the first one to go from a trade standpoint. He, and coming off an ACL, it's going to be telling how he plays.
Yep.
He's going to be tainted from here on out. His body's not the same. LeBron James has never torn ACL. That's why he's getting paid what he's getting paid. Kevin Durant tore, injuries for days. It's he's not the same player as he used to be. His load management looks completely different now than it did 6-7 years ago. And he's not even that old. He's not even that old of a guy. And so I think it matters. And so Jamal Murray is that guy for the Nuggets who, if they were going to make a move, it's going to be him.
Yeah, hopefully they can work it out. But let's go on to the Rockies, who for them had pretty decent overall.
I love them.
They were pretty decent overall last week. 2-3, I think, if depending on when you start the week. Maybe it was 2-4. But they got a series win over the Giants.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
They got a series win over the Giants, and then they got swept by the Cardinals to cap it off. Nolan Arenado hit a dinger on us to win 2-0. It was just solo, but he got the home run in the game for one of the runs. But again, what do you talk about with the Rockies? I mean, they are, if I'm going to be 100% honest, they are doing better than I thought they would be doing. They're 12-22. They've
won 4 series.
Yeah, so they're doing better than what I thought they were going to do, but that's not. I mean, I thought they would be 1 win for every 2 losses, and they're at 12-22 instead of 12-24. So
it's pretty close, though. 1 win for every 2. I mean, they're not far off. We beat Houston in a series because we only played them twice.
Yeah.
Philadelphia, we won. The Giants on this last
back-to-back series, we won.
It was back-to-back series, and then Arizona, the second or third series of the season. And so I still don't think the Rockies are good. Like, they're just bad.
Obviously they're not good. That's being kind.
I mean, they have San Diego at home for a 4 stretch. Tonight's game got postponed. I honestly think tomorrow's game is going to get postponed as well, being that it's
lots of bad weather,
lots of snow. So they're just going to probably move that game to later in the season. Wednesday, a doubleheader. So we should lose both games against San Diego. The nice part, the one bright spot, to be honest with you, I think, in my opinion, is John Gray.
I was just going to say John Gray. He has gotten himself some trade leverage, and we should set him off by trade deadline. Hate to say it, but his stock is high. He's pitching really, really well, and
I mean, who would have thought that he was that he'd be 4-2 with a 3, just a little north of a 3 ERA, 38 strikeouts. He's a big strikeout guy. He does, average 8 strikeouts a game, 8, 9 strikeouts a game. But, his win-loss record, I would have thought at the beginning of the season that would have been inverted at 2-4, and his ERA, based off of how he did last season, should be a little bit higher. But I'm pretty sure, you correct me if I'm wrong on this one, that you said on a very, very first episode that he goes like good,
he goes
bad,
like every other year.
Bad.
I was pulling up his stats again the other day. So in 2016 was his first full year. He was 4.6 ERA. Then he went 3.6 ERA on a 10-4, and then he went up to 5.1. Then he went down to 3.8. Then he went up to 6.6, and now he's down to 3.1. So we sell him high, because if we don't sell him now, he's going to have a bad year next year. I mean, but he's a 29-year-old pitcher. He's in the prime of his career, so somebody's going to have value with him. It's just not us. So I think selling, get some type of prospects from him. Our new GM. I don't know. Have they named a new GM yet?
No. So Greg Fiesel is kind of like the interim, but he's been in the organization for 20 plus years, and so
he's not qualified.
I think that's part of the problem with the Monforts, though. Like, they're so loyal to their to their crew of people. I mean, positive and negative, but it's just frustrating when they don't have the right body in the position. So they have not named a GM yet.
They need to be able to go outside of the organization, and it's not like we have success up and down the board, or we were just missing that one piece. It's been bad top to bottom inside the organization for the entirety of the history of the Rockies. So they need to go somewhere else. Go get Billy Dean or something. Get some money ball in here.
What would it hurt? Truly, what would it hurt if they did something? And this is the interesting part, is that Denver is a desirable place to live.
Oh, absolutely.
People want to come and live here. And then you get to be a general manager of a Major League Baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
You think, I mean, there's not a whole lot of people that would turn down that role, in an organization. No. And here's the thing, I'm okay with this. I don't even think this is going to sound crazy. Go get a female to do it. Like the GM for the Marlins.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it. I don't care who they hire as long as they're qualified. They're not a yes man or yes woman to Mumfords. They give
yes person. It's a yes person.
They give them full control over the team and decisions, and let them build for 3 to 5 years and see if they're put them on the right track. Because we've had, like we talked about, we've had too many high draft picks to not have a good farm system. There's not like we've called up a ton of talented players, and that's why our farm system is depleted. We just are not there. And funny thing is I saw Tyler Madsteck is still in the league. The big pitcher. He came back into the league, and he's actually throwing pretty well this year. He's got like a 3.6 ERA. He's moved to the bullpen. I think he was a starter when he was with us, and terrible, but I thought it was funny to see his name come up on ESPN because he was out of the league for so many years.
It's interesting to see. Your boy Charlie Blackmon hitting a little bit better.
Yeah, he's moved. I mean, you go 1 for 6 and your batting average goes up at a certain point. So
that's very true. I mean, batting a 2,
he's all the way up to a 231. So I think that's above the Mendoza line. So,
not a bad last 5 games.
He's on a 5-game hitting streak. So he's raised his average up. So hopefully we were wrong in putting a knife in him. I mean, his outfield, I don't think we're wrong in talking how bad he is in the outfield. But
he's still absolutely terrible in the outfield. But his last his last 5 games, he's 8 for 20. So it's it's a good average, which definitely had increased for what was at a 1.82 to now a 231, and so
if he can
playing a little bit better.
show that he can still hit with power and hit, because he hit with power and average for the last 5 or 6 years. If he can show that here in the next like month and a half, again, sell him. What are we going to do with the 33, 34-year-old left fielder? Give him to somebody in the AL and let him DH for a championship team that needs an extra bat or pinch hitter or utility outfielder or something.
Let's send Story and Blackman to the Yankees.
That would be awful. Story, Blackman, and LeMahieu and go win a World Series. But again,
Adam Ottavino.
Anybody, is Ottavino still there? Yeah, then. But anybody who goes to a different team from the Rockies, I want to see success, because I want to be able to point to those guys when they say Colorado hitters are only good in Colorado. So I'm rooting for Arenado. I'm rooting for LeMahieu still. And anybody who gets traded from here, I want them all to do good too. So I'm all for it. Send them to the Yankees, because that's a better hitter's ballpark than the Rockies anyways. Nobody mentions that. Lefties got to pop up and they get a home run. It's serious. Like LeMahieu, Aaron Judge, all those guys, like left field or right field is so small.
Yes. They're Boston.
Yeah, Boston too. And then even like you got the Green Monster in left field, but it's so shallow. You just, again, pop up and hit it 10 feet off the wall. It's not like you're hitting it hard or solid. So you do have advantages that nobody else talks about in other parks.
The crazy part about it is that, when you look at the Rockies, the rest of the first half of the season, it's a pretty easy schedule. And they, if they would play just better baseball, they would have an honest to God shot of winning at least half these damn games. But they just figure they can't freaking put it together. They got San Diego for 2 series. They have San Diego for 3 series, St. Louis for another series. But other than that, and then Milwaukee's up there. But they have Cincinnati, Miami, Oakland, Texas, Pittsburgh twice, the Mets, Arizona again. And so the schedule is without a doubt in their favor for the rest of this first half. But that's going to be a really telling sign when your schedule's so easy and you still lose 75% of your games.
Yeah, I mean, we dropped 3 or 4 to the Diamondbacks. Before that series, the Diamondbacks were like a game of better than us. So it's not like we're winning against bad teams too. So
true. That's the problem. That's my point.
Everybody, we're looking at this schedule and saying, oh, it's not that bad. And then everybody who's fans of the other team are like, oh, look at it. We got the Rockies coming up. There's 3 wins.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would too. I would circle up like, oh, win, win, win. The Rockies are terrible.
Yeah. It's like, not if you don't even think you're going to win the series. If you don't sweep the series, you're upset as a fan coming and playing the Rockies. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we make it. Again, we're not rooting against the Rockies. We're rooting for them to build for the future. We know this year is not going to be the year, but we want them to build something so that we're not like this forever.
Correct.
So the Avalanche, they started off really slow after the COVID return, but they're picking it up again. They're pretty much, I don't know, probably stuck in the second place behind Vegas, even if we beat them. I think tomorrow. Is it? Yeah,
tonight. No, it's right now.
Okay, so even if we beat them tonight, I still think we're probably stuck in second place. Is this the last week of games before the playoffs? Yeah, 3 games left.
Yeah.
So if we win out, that's 6 points. Let's go to
we're too far behind because they're Vegas is at 80. We're at 76. We're gonna need some help. We're gonna need to beat.
If we win this game, we're at 78 and they're at 80, and we'll have 1 less game than them.
Yeah, so we would finish at 82 and they would finish at 82, but they would have the tiebreaker.
Okay, so they would need to lose 2 games and we would need to win out.
Yeah.
Okay, and they only have 2 games left, so.
The team that I'm worried about though is Minnesota. So they're a point behind us at 75 points. And so if we lose tonight, then it puts us in a really unique position with Minnesota.
It's true.
So we might actually get the 3rd seed, which would suck.
Yeah, because Minnesota right now, I'm looking at it, they're 7-1-2 in their last 10. So they've had 14, 15, 16 points in their last 10 games. That's pretty hot. But we got the Kings for the last 2 games too, and they're pretty bad.
At home, which helps.
So barring any type of lapse in focus, I don't see the Kings playing all that hard. They're already eliminated. They don't have anything to play for except for a lower or a higher draft pick. So
they want to lose.
Yeah, they want to lose. So that's good. And like I said, the Avalanche are clicking. It took them a couple games to get back into it after the 3 games of COVID cancellation, and then plus they had all the players who were still on the COVID list who couldn't play. But I mean, the Golden Knights are good, but I don't think top to bottom there's a better team than the Colorado Avalanche. So I don't think standings matter all that much.
I don't think standings matter. I would agree. The thing is that they have to just be healthy. If they are healthy, they're the best team in hockey. If they're not healthy and they don't have the full team on the ice, I mean, look, Nathan McKinnon missed the last 3 games. The only reason he's playing tonight, which he probably shouldn't even be playing with a lower leg injury, the only reason he's playing tonight is because it's a must-win game for the Avalanche. They have to win this game, and so that's just puts that much more pressure on him. So it's just Gerard is still out, which is a huge blow to our defense, and it just makes it challenging when you don't have your full squad. And anyone could say that about any sports teams ever,
right.
But it's just more. I feel like it's just more real for the Avalanche because they are that good.
Yeah, and it's like the honest truth of professional sports. It's not the team who is the best that always wins the championship. It's the team who is the best team who is the healthiest.
Mm-hmm.
You get a couple of hot streaks mixed in there, and that's that. But usually the best team in the league is not the team who wins the championship because of some type of injury or because some other team got hot at the right moment. So seasons are stretched out, and that's why they're played. There's a reason for all of that. There's a reason we play 7-game series in hockey and in basketball is, things happen.
I like that we play 7-game series. I'm not going to lie.
No, it's better. Obviously it doesn't work in football, but it makes it to where the best team usually wins. But,
correct.
March Madness is fun because especially with college kids, you never know what's going to happen on any given night. So you get that 14 seed to upset the 3 seed and break everybody's bracket. But if that was a 7-game series between the 14 and the 3, chances are they'd come back and win the next 4 games and there wouldn't be an upset. So it makes it for better outcomes.
Right.
I agree. It's better that way. The NBA did like 5-game series for a while. And I don't even like 5-game series. 7 games, let them play, and get it through.
Yep. No, I agree.
So
we have to win tonight.
Yeah. I think it's on ESPN Plus, so I got to watch it, but I'm not 100% sure about that. So hopefully the Cronkies are working diligently to fix all that for us. So come hockey or come playoff time next week, they're going to say, here's a gift basket. We have altitude. But
no, that's probably not going to happen. In the first round of the playoffs, you can't watch it, and it's going to suck because that's what they do.
And we mentioned this before. It really sucks for hockey because the Nuggets will most likely be on TNT or ESPN or ABC.
Yep.
Every single game. Basketball, pretty much every game is on national TV, or at least NBA TV will pick up the lower ones in the first round. But hockey, they won't have any channels that they're on. So
no,
not the NHL channel, not like
NBC, CBS, NBC, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, they'll carry some of the games, but it's usually the bigger market team. ESPN doesn't pick up any hockey games. in
Mm-mm.
the first round. So hopefully with ESPN Plus having that new contract, though, most of the games are on at least streamable.
Agreed.
So with that, do you think the Broncos and Aaron Rodgers are a match made in heaven? Do you think it's going to happen? Do you think what has been thrown around is worth giving up for him? Or what is your thoughts?
My heart says yes. My heart says he's going to be a Bronco, and I think we're going to give up 2 first-rounders and a third-rounder. We're going to send Cushenberry and Obajimi, whatever his last name is, the cornerback. Because our backfield is from a DB standpoint is just loaded.
Yeah.
That's what I think we're going to give up. I don't think you give up 3 first-rounders because he's only going to be here for
3 years.
4 years. So you just don't do that. You would have given up 3 first-rounders for Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson because they're in your organization for the next decade. So
I agree.
I think you give up 2 first-rounders. You give up a third-rounder. Maybe change out the third for the fourth if they like a guard and a DB. I don't think you give up Surtain. But at the end of the day, you could give him up because you really don't know how he's going to pan out in the NFL.
Right.
You know what you're getting for the next 4 years with Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
So there's going to be another.
That would be technically 3 first-round draft picks, though.
Agreed.
And
but
one of them a top 10.
I wouldn't give up if I gave him 2 first-rounders and Surtain. I wouldn't give him a third or fourth-round pick. Yeah. It would be those 2 picks and Patrick Surtain and Cushenberry because you just drafted the guard out of Wisconsin, Whitewater. And so you're saying, okay, here's your spot, and you take it from there. Because is it worth it for me? Yes, it is. He's an MVP quarterback who's going to be in the Hall of Fame, who can absolutely take your team to another 2 or 3 Super Bowls in his time frame because of what you've done from an offensive standpoint. And our defense is just as good. And I would give up Patrick Surtain to get Aaron Rodgers every day and twice on Sunday. Now, my head is thinking, no, like we're not going to get him. And it's as bad as that sounds, like it's 50-50 odds are in our favor from a Vegas standpoint outside of just him returning to Green Bay. But I just don't think we're that lucky where we're going to get him.
Yeah, I don't think Green Bay is going to give up. I don't think they're going to give him up. And like you said, I would be okay with giving up the draft picks for him. I had a conversation with somebody, and they're like, "Oh, why would we want to have 2 or 3 good years to be terrible for 5 years? These last 5 years were terrible." And I said, in a heartbeat, why wouldn't we? I said, I would. Would you have rather been mediocre from the time that Tebow was our quarterback till now, and have a couple playoff appearances and a couple non-playoff appearances, and be in that 8-8 to, or that 7-9 to 10-6 range for the rest since then, and erase the Super Bowls? Or would you rather have a shot at Super Bowl for 3 years and be terrible for 5 years? Because I would rather have a shot at Super Bowl for 5 years or 3 years and be terrible for 5 years.
If you don't make the game, you can't win it. If you don't get to the game, there's no point. And so us being able to truthfully say we should have won the Super Bowl in 2012, gone to the Super Bowl in 2014, and then win the Super Bowl in 2016 or 2015 to the 2016 season, it worth it every day for me.
Yeah.
To get that third ring. So if we're able to bring Aaron Rodgers in for 3 years, maybe 4 years at most, and win and go twice, win 1, or go 3 times, or win 2.
Or at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the year, you're going to be a favorite. Every game is going to matter. So every game is going to be fun to watch. And you're going to have minimum of 2 playoff games. You're going to go to the AFC Championship no matter what. That is going to be what it is. And I mean, Peyton Manning was here for, was it 4 years, right? That was it, 4 years. 4 years. We went to the Super Bowl 2 times.
Twice.
And we should have went the 3rd time. And arguably, if they hired a better coach leading into it, instead of John Fox, we probably, if let's say Gary Kubiak was the quarterback or the coach for 4 years, or just somebody who wasn't John Fox, because I wasn't a big fan of him.
Mm-hmm.
you probably go to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row.
Yep.
Or if
We
Manning
made the
retires
playoffs.
or whatever, but you would
Made the
have
playoffs
been,
every year.
yeah. So am I saying Vic Fangio could be as bad as John Fox? Probably. So it might be
Mm-hmm.
1 year of bad luck in the playoffs, and then hire somebody who is going to be able to take us to that next step and get 2 Super Bowls out of it. Sure, for real. I'm so for it. I don't care if it. I mean, it hurts to give up 3 first-round picks, knowing the guy is only going to be here for 3 years or 4 years. Because with Peyton Manning, he was a free agent, and we didn't even lose a compensatory pick because he was cut. He was cut and then was a free agent. So literally, it was just a risk on the salary. Which, looking back on the salary and the way quarterback salaries are now, was
Best
pennies.
decision we ever made. And
Pennies.
here's what, if you're Green Bay, this is what I don't understand. If you're Green Bay, you haven't done anything from drafting you're in this draft to set him up or set your team up to be any better than they were last year.
Right.
And
We got a
then
third round receiver.
to get that much draft capital back, and potentially if Surtain was there in that mix, so get 2 first-rounders and Patrick Surtain, you're now getting a phenomenal amount back for the next 3 seasons and beyond with who you're drafting. Yes, so think about it, you're having 2 first-round draft picks for the next 3 seasons.
Yeah. So in the next 2 will probably be above 20, but you didn't pick him, but you're getting the number 9 pick this year, who
Correct.
is arguably the best player on the defensive side of the football. So you didn't draft him, but they have done nothing without Aaron Rodgers on that Green Bay team. They are 6-win team. They've not built a team around him. He had an MVP season last year, and that's why they won 11 or 12 or whatever, 13 games that they won. And everybody thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl. But that was because of him. It was not because they put him in a success to be great. They have one receiver who is a phenomenal receiver, and they have Aaron Rodgers. That is their offense. The running backs are good. Aaron Jones is a really good running back, but no tight ends, no slot receivers, no number 2 to catch the ball. And the defense is mediocre. So you come to Denver, you have a bona fide number 1 in Sutton. You have a solid number 2 in Judy. You have Noah Fant, who is a top-tier tight end. You have hopefully Melvin Gordon and their new running back are solid in the backfield. And then you have slot receivers. You got Hamler, you got Patrick. You have a bunch of people who are going to be much better with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Tim Patrick didn't drop a pass last year. Imagine if he had a quarterback who was throwing him the ball, who knew how to throw the ball. So
correct. And without it, and then in my opinion, the most important, you have an offensive line who's going to protect you.
Yeah,
we have a solid offensive line finally, where Drew Lock didn't even touch the ground or didn't even get touched 3 games last season.
Yeah, there was a fan perspective that he didn't have time to throw, but if you go to look at the stats showed he had a fantastic offensive line. So, I mean, I hope, and I said this to the same person, I hope that Drew Lock can take that step forward to be a competent quarterback, because that will be our greatest success for greatest move for long-term success. Because we don't have to mortgage the future. We don't have to give up a lot of stuff for 3 years of being great. We are so solid on 21 positions out of the 22 that he doesn't even need to be great. He just needs to be above average to good.
He just needs to be Brock Osweiler when Peyton Manning got hurt.
I mean, I don't know if that defense will be the same. Like, that'd be really hard to make them that good, but they're going to be really good. They're going to be really good. And the offense has got more weapons, I feel like, than that offense did.
The offense, without a doubt, has more weapons than that Super Bowl winning team. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Dropsy. Our offense now, minus the quarterback, is without a doubt better. Now, the defense on that 2015 team was unreal. However, if everyone plays to their potential or what we think they can do, they're not going to be that far off this season.
I think Von Miller is going to be able to have a fantastic year in the 12 or 13 sack range. Hopefully Bradley Chubb can have the same kind of year. I'm hoping he can have a 15, like take that next step, because it seems like he just gets to the quarterback half a second too late. He puts a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks, but his sack totals aren't there. So hopefully he can really get to the next level, and Von Miller could be a complementary piece to Chubb
Right.
this year. So I think we're going to be able to get pressure on the quarterback. And we have 2 of the best safeties in the league. We have 4 of the best corners in the league that are all going to be playing all over the field. So there's no reason that this defense can't be close to that good. You can't say
Correct.
as good, because that was one of the best in the history of the NFL.
Ever. Last topic for the Broncos, Juwan James, the worst
we didn't even touch that.
in the history of signings, I think, ever. He might be up there with Ian Desmond as the worst signings.
What was his contract total? It was big.
It was like 31 million guaranteed, and the only thing that helped us was that he got hurt outside of the Broncos practice facility, so they're not going to pay him.
Yeah, and all the players are all upset, and they don't realize what they sign when they. It's the Players Association's fault for telling everybody to stay away from the facilities in the offseason. If he was at the facilities or didn't avoid the facilities, then, because I don't know how it works exactly in the contract, but I think if he showed up to the voluntary workouts and then got hurt after the voluntary workouts working out on his own, I don't think they would have been able to do what they're doing. I could be wrong, but because they chose to miss the voluntary workouts is, I think, the big kicker.
So he not only didn't, let's put it like, he didn't play in one game in 2020, opted out the entire season from a COVID standpoint. So wasn't even around the team at all. Yep. And then was doing his own workouts that were provided by the Broncos at a complete offsite facility though, but then injured himself in those workouts at an offsite facility. So it wasn't a Broncos regulated practice or strength and conditioning situation. And so, but again, to your point, these players know, or you would think that they would know, or their agents should tell them, hey, if you're going to work out outside of, your, in your box, you got to be prepared for the consequences,
Absolutely.
We follow Jared Judy on Instagram, and he's every day out in Florida doing whatever the hell he's doing, like running routes. He looks great.
His feet are so fast.
He's super fast, but if you were to get hurt on that field, it's his fault.
Yeah, it's like a grayish area. But I do think that if the players just didn't skip out on the mini camps and the voluntary workouts this year,
they probably would be hurt.
Teams would be more lenient. Because I've never seen like Ryan Clady got hurt. He didn't get his salary withheld. He was playing like basketball or something like 10 years ago, and they didn't care. So I think there's a combination of he's played like one game and has been paid $15 million in 3 years, and they all chose not to come to the off-season workouts. So
I want to say like he's only played like 65 snaps in 3 seasons.
Yeah, sucks for him. Like, hopefully he's made some money throughout his career already. So before he came to the Broncos, he had already made probably, I don't know, 10 to $12 million. And then he's making 13 to 15 million with the Broncos. Now he's not going to see the other 30 million, but as long as he wasn't stupid with his money, he should be fine. He's got $20 million of career earnings.
Yeah. You could do a lot with 20 million.
Yeah, buy Dogecoin.
Awesome.
A good episode this week. We'll hit you guys up again next week. But until then,
peace.